Hey, welcome back to All This Math. This is Professor Parker. And shout out to HBCU grads just because. Yeah, shout out to HBCU grads just because. All right. Support your local HBCU. Support an HBCU that's far away from you. Learn about HBCUs. Learn about their history. Teach your children about their history. All right. And shout out to the HBCU grads. All right. Let's get started. Now, I know my board look a little dirty. Don't judge me too much. You know what I'm saying? I was trying to hurry up and make this next video in a certain amount of time, right? So we're doing some more unit conversions, right? We're going from gallons to pints. PTS is pints, not points. Micrograms. When you see this MC, that's micro. Micro, that means 1 millionth. 1 millionth, or 10 to the negative 6 power. Micrograms. To milligrams, mg's milligrams. Teaspoons, TSP is teaspoons, to ounces. Kilograms to grams. Sometimes grams is just G, but in some places GM is also grams. So make sure you know that. I don't see this as often. I usually just see G for grams, but sometimes you see GM. Quarts to ounces. OZ is ounces. All right. QT is quarts. All right. So let's go. This is how we do unit conversions. All right. So unit conversions, you start out with the first measurement, 2 gallons. And number one, we start out with 2 gallons. So you write 2 gallons, right? And then we're going to multiply that by a fraction. We're going to multiply that by a fraction. So I put a multiplication sign and I put a fraction bar. Now in this fraction is going to be equivalent to 1, meaning the numerator and the denominator are going to be equal values. The numerator and the denominator are going to be equal values. The top number and the bottom number are going to have the same value. They're not going to be the same number, but they're going to be different numbers with different units, which is going to make them equal values. Just like 7 days is 1 week. 7 and 1 are not the same number, but those 2 amounts of time got the same value. 7 days and 1 week are the same thing. So this is the same concept here. It ain't nothing too deep, right? Just like 30 days is 1 month. 30 and 1 are 2 different numbers, but it's the same amount of time. All right. So 2 gallons times. Now I always put I'm gonna put the gallons in the denominator. Why? Why am I gonna do that? I'm gonna do that because I'm trying to get rid of gallons. So I want them to cancel out. So I got gallons in the bottom, and if I put gallons at the bottom, I'm gonna put pints on top. Pints on top. All right. I see the Amazon guy outside. I think he got a delivery for me. I'm gonna still rock and do this. Anyway, so gallons will cancel out eventually, right? Gallons will eventually cancel out. Now, we need to know the equivalence between pints and gallons. How many pints are in a gallon, or how many gallons represent 1 pint? Now, pints are a smaller measurement than a gallon, right? Like a pint of milk or a pint of almond milk is less than a gallon of almond milk, right? So let me go over here because I already got my notes. Got my notes right here, right? So pints, let me see. Yeah, that was the Amazon guy. So pints is, where am I at? Yeah, okay, so a gallon is equivalent to 8 pints. A gallon is equivalent to 8 pints. Now, how do I know that? I know that because I just did some research. I went online and did some research. I just Googled it, basically. Ain't nothing too deep. I just went online and said, gallons to pints. That's all I did. So 1 gallon is equivalent to 8 pints. So I got 1 and I got 8. And then I'm gonna multiply. Well, I'm gonna cross these out because I'm gonna cross cancel those, right? And I'm gonna do 2 times 8, that's 16. So that's 16 pints. That means that 2 gallons is equivalent to 16 pints. That's it. And once you start to learn the equivalencies between these different measurements, you won't need to actually show all the work. You'll be able to start to do this in your head. Just like I said, like if you know that 7 days is 1 week, then you know that 3 weeks is 21 days. You just do 3 times 7, 21, right? Or, if you get paid every 2 weeks and you want to know, okay, how many days is that? 1 week is 7 days. So you do 7 times 2 to get 14. So you get paid every 14 days. Once you get the hang of the equivalencies, just like you are with time, then what's going to happen is, then you're going to know, all right? You're going to be able to basically just do these mentally. All right, now let's do the next one. 435 micrograms. 435 micrograms, do your multiplication sign, fraction bar, Put micrograms on the bottom. Why? Because you want those to cancel out, right? And this is called cross-canceling, just like in this problem. Put milligrams on top. Now, we need to know how many, now micrograms are less than milligrams, because micrograms, that's like if you took a gram, right? And you cut it up into 1,000,000 equal pieces. Micro means 1/1,000,000th, right? Or 10 to the negative 6 power. If you take a gram, G for gram, and cut it up into 1,000,000 equal pieces, that's each of those pieces is going to be 1 microgram, right? So 1,000,000 of them is going to be a gram, but this says milligram. This don't say gram. So this is a little different, because a milligram is what happens when you take a gram and you cut that up into 1,000 equal pieces, right? So here we got 1,000 pieces of a gram over 1,000,000 pieces of a gram, right? So 1,000 has 3 zeros, 1,000,000 has 6 zeros. So that means that this is actually 1,000th of this. So 1 milligram, so a microgram is also 1 milligram cut up into 1,000 equal pieces. I know that seems like a lot, but just pause the video, run it back, and play it again, right? Again, one milligram can be cut up into 1,000 micrograms. So that's why 1,000 micrograms is the same thing as 1 milligram. 1,000 micrograms, MC means micro. 1,000 micrograms is the same thing as 1 milligram. All right, so now the micrograms are going to cancel out. Boom, boom, they cancel out. And then we got 4. Now this one's a little different from this one. And also I did another video with 5 other examples, right? It's a little different from that other video too, because in the other ones, we only multiply straight across. But here, look what happens. We're going to do 435 milligrams divided by 1,000. So now we got to do some division. So when we divide by 1,000, now you can take out your calculator and just do the division. You're going to get 0.435. That's what you're going to get. You're going to get 0.435. But if you're doing it mentally, when you divide by 1,000, because 1,000 has 3 zeros, right? Because 1,000 has 3 zeros, what you can also do is just think of moving the decimal point. When you do division, you move the decimal point to the left. When you do multiplication, you move the decimal point to the right. But when you do division, you move the decimal point to the left. So, and you might be saying, well, 435 don't have no decimal point. So what you talking about? It's no decimal point written, but it's understood. Like when people say what's understood don't got to be said. If you have a whole number like 435, there's an invisible decimal point after the smallest number. So 5 is in the ones place. So after the 5, think of it as there being an invisible decimal point there. So it's like saying 435 with an invisible decimal point right after the 5. So if you consider that, now when you do the division, you move the decimal point 3 spaces to the left. Why 3 spaces? Because 1,000 has 3 zeros. So that's how many, that's what tells you how many spaces to move the decimal point. If you got 3 zeros, you move the decimal point 3 spaces. If you had 2 zeros, like in 100, you move it 2 decimal places. If you had 1 zero, like in 10, you move the decimal point 1 space. See, math just got a whole bunch of rules. And the way you memorize the rules is by doing a whole lot of problems. That's it. It's just like with cooking. Like it's a whole lot of steps to make a lot of dishes. But if you make that dish, even if it's a complicated dish, but you make it a whole lot, right? I mean, if somebody never made baked macaroni before, like never in their life, and they never cooked before, they might think it's complicated. But somebody that make baked macaroni like that, and they make it real good, it's easy for them. They don't need to look at a recipe. They don't need to look at the steps and all that. They just do it, right? Math is the same way. I'm trying to tell you. So this is going to be 0.435 milligrams. And you don't really need that 0 right there. You know, sometimes we put it there, but either 0.435 or just 0.435. Either way, right? All right, let's go to the next one. 38 teaspoons to ounces. So I want ounces at the end, so I'm going to put ounces on top because that's what I want to end up with, ounces. And then put teaspoons in the denominator, boom. And then, because the teaspoons are going to cancel out. But what are my numbers though? Let me go to my notes. 1 teaspoon is 0.1667 ounces. So 1 teaspoon is 0.1667. This value and this value are the same amount, right? Just in different units. Ounces, teaspoons, ounces, teaspoons. This many ounces is the same amount as this many teaspoons. That's why this fraction is equal to 1. That's why this fraction was equal to 1. That's why this fraction was equal to 1. right? Your fraction must be equal to 1. All right, so now I'm gonna multiply straight across. The teaspoon's already canceled out. 38 times 0.1667. Okay, let me pull my calculator out. Where is my calculator? Oh, hold up. Here we go. All right, 38 times 0.1667. 6.3346. I'm gonna round them off to like 2 decimal places, so I'm gonna say 6.33 ounces. So basically 6.3 ounces. 38 teaspoons is almost 6.3 ounces. Well, actually, it's exactly 6 1/3 ounces. 0.33 is 1/3, so 6 1/3 ounces. All right, let's do these last two real quick. 0.6 kilograms times, now I'm trying to get rid of kilograms, so that goes in my denominator. I'm trying to get to grams. Remember, grams is usually just G, right? Usually just G, but in this case, GM can also represent grams. All right, I'm trying to cancel out kilograms. That's why kilogram is on the bottom. I'm trying to get to grams. That's why gram is on the top. What's the relationship between kilograms and grams? All right, 1 kilogram is the same thing as 1,000 grams. If you take a kilogram, because kilo, the prefix kilo means 1,000. The prefix kilo means 1,000. The prefix kilo means 1,000. When I repeat something a bunch of times in this video, that's your hint that you need to write it down in your notes. So make sure you write that down. The prefix kilo means 1,000. All right, so 1 kilogram is equal to 1,000 grams. All right, so this numerator is the same thing as this denominator. So we're gonna cross these out, and then we're gonna multiply straight across. Now I got a 0.6 and I got a 1,000. So that means I got 3 zeros. So that means I'm gonna move my decimal point 3 spaces. So I'm sliding this over right here, this decimal point. 1 space to the right is gonna be 6. And then I gotta slide it over 2 more times. So if I slide it over 2 more times, you might be saying, but there's no numbers there. What am I supposed to do? When that happens, you need placeholders. Your placeholders are just zeros. In math, placeholders are 0. So you move in one place, you got a 6. And then you might be wondering, well, what about this 0? This 0 don't matter no more. This 0 is like irrelevant, right? Because it's in the highest place value, it doesn't really matter, right? So, because that would be like saying 0, 600. 0, 600 is just 600. You don't need the 0 in front of the 6. All right, so this is 600 grams. All right, 600 grams is what we got here. All right, last but not least, number 5, 0.15 quarts times through your conversion fraction. Put the quarts in the denominator, put the ounces on top. The quarts are gonna cancel out. How many ounces are in a quart? Anybody know? You probably know that. You're probably familiar with quarts and ounces, right? It's 32 ounces in a quart. Right? So we got 32 ounces in 1 quart. So 32 ounces is the same amount as 1 quart. 32 and 1, 32 and 1. Again, the numbers are different, but these values are still equal because the units are different. It's different units. Again, I can't stress this enough. 7 days is the same thing as 1 week, but the number 7 and the number 1 ain't the same. But it's different units. Days versus weeks, days versus weeks. Ounces versus quarts, ounces versus quarts. Now, cross off the quarts, multiply straight across. 32 times 0.15. Use your calculator, 4.8. I mean, if you want to do the mental math, you could do that. So 4.8 ounces is the same thing as 0.15 quarts. So 0.15 is a fraction of a quart. A whole quart is 32 ounces. So it makes sense that this will be 4.8, almost 5 ounces. You know what I'm saying? All right, so that's that. Another 5 problems. I'm gonna do another video with another 5 examples like this, and just so you can get more explanation. But I did this video with these 5 examples. I did another video previously with another 5 examples, and I just want you to know how to do this because this is a very important skill. Like I said, you're gonna see it in chemistry. You're gonna see it in the healthcare field. You just and it's good to just know how to do this just in life. I mean, even if you're in a grocery store or wherever, whatever you're doing, you know what I mean? Just to have the skill, right? Because once you know this skill, you can convert any measurement. You know, the skill is the same. The skill is the skill. It's the same. It's not going to change. You know what I mean? So, so go get some practice so you can master this. The video is cool. Watching my videos is cool, but you don't really learn it until you do it. You got to get your hands dirty and really do some problems. All right. I'll see you in the next video.